Burning Daylight. Welcome to Burning Daylight, the only podcast for the working cowboy. Yeah, I've got my own theme song, so that's pretty fucking cool.
We're burning daylight. First time I heard that, I knew exactly who it was.
Oh man, he's got a very distinct voice, and him and Rachel went up and visited Sam McHugh, and they recorded some stuff in the studio, and they actually re-recorded that, and I hope like we got Rachel in the like singing harmony, like that really high harmony. Well, there's I don't know what they did, but either way, the fact that I've got my own theme songs doesn't help my ego much. I'll tell you that.
That's all right.
Yeah, it's one of those things you always you joke about when you're like growing up. Like, what would your theme song be if you had a theme song? But now I actually do have a theme song, and it's even cooler than what I thought it would be. Because somebody else that kind of knows me wrote it, and so I was like, "Yeah, that's fucking cool." It's pretty cool.
Maybe yours is gonna be what you said to me there. That Aboot And Find Oot.
I like it. That's the name of this episode, man. I love it. Like we have never lived in a better time for memes. Like it's just like this this crazy like everything came together where like we've got some of the craziest events on Earth. We've got like the more comedy than the world has ever seen as a database to mine through. And then we have the technology to share it like around the world in an instant. So it's like somebody took the Gadsden flag and put a Canadian goose on it instead of "Don't tread on me." It said "Fuck Aboot and Find Oot," and then I was like, "Oh, it's so funny! It's so freaking funny."
I seen one with the Canadian goose just like hissing with its wings up, and all it's underneath was "Please leave me alone."
Yeah, it's like. It's funny is like it took a bunch of Canadian truckers to finally put the libertarian philosophy into motion. It was just like, hey guy, you guys have went too far this time, and I don't know. It's a beautiful thing to watch. Like
it is.
And especially how they've tried to, and that's also the beauty of technology right now, because say I was talking with my wife, and I think Twitter was invented in 2009. So say 2008. If this had happened in 2008, all you would have seen, all you would have known about it, if we for us here in the States, would have been that guy with the Confederate flag. That's all we would have heard about. That's it. And they would have not shown any of the video. Like, they would have showed it right up to where they got his face. Well, not his face, because he was wearing a fucking ski mask. That's how you know he's a Fed. Yeah. And it's just all he's got is a mouth hole and two eye holes and a Confederate flag with the semi on it. And that's all you would have seen. They would have just paused the video right there, and then they would have cut away to somebody talking about how bad these racists were. But instead, you can go anywhere on social media, and you can watch that guy getting pretty well marched out by his ear, because they're like, hey, that doesn't represent what we're doing here. And it's been the coolest thing to watch, how like Trudeau will say like this is a fringe minority, and then you'll watch a video of one of the truckers out his window and just have the entire side of the highway just lined with people waving Canadian flags. Like it's a thing of beauty, man. It's fucking cool.
We had I probably handed out, like, a few of us, about 1,000 of them stickers yesterday. We got these little round stickers. One of the guys in Fort McLeod was making up. He owns a vinyl shop and was printing out all these signs and stickers and decals and everything for everybody. And it just said, "Proud member of a fringe minority with unacceptable views."
Hell yeah,
and
dude.
we
Hell yeah.
just handed them out to everybody driving through yesterday. And I'd say 85 to 90% of the people took them, rolled their window down, honking, cheering us on, waving. And yeah, maybe only 5% didn't even bother to look at us. They just drove through ignoring or gave the middle finger. Yeah.
Well, man, it's amazing. I saw a post from the Communist Party of Canada condemning this convoy, which, if we're going to be 100% honest, is probably the biggest labor strike in the history of Canada.
Oh, yeah. It's the biggest protest we've ever even seen. Yeah.
Well, and you broke the Guinness Book of World Records for the largest convoy ever at like 45 miles,
That's
somewhere
right.
between 45 and 50 miles. And
Yeah.
we did the math on Fence Post Politics, and it was like 3,400 if you went single file to go 45 miles. And I know there was, so like at some parts that thing had to have been over 50 miles long, because when you had to
Well,
go
I think
single
so.
file. But
Because there wasn't just one either. Like they were coming like spider webs just coming in
yeah,
from everywhere.
and now you got the Aussies doing theirs. They
Yeah.
got one. From what I've heard, there's been one or getting organized in California and doing the same thing, because this one started in Vancouver, right?
Initially, I believe so. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
and
then, so that's different than the border crossing here one though, down at Coots
yeah,
here.
yeah,
But
but it
yeah,
all
I think
started
it was a
it
you're
started
right.
in
It was a cross
Vancouver.
Canada thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, hey, and I gotta point out that Lydia is here. We were giving her shit last time because she didn't comment. So we acknowledge your presence. We hope you do better next time, Lydia. So, cheers.
Step your game up.
She's from Minnesota, so she's like honorary Canadian, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so like this whole thing started in Vancouver, and the border crossing thing, that kind of was like an offshoot of because they were already in Ottawa with the main convoy when the
Yeah.
whole
Yeah. It started up Saturday is when they shut down the border. And it's been on and off with the cops since, trying to negotiate every couple of hours back and forth. And it's just crazy. There's so much support from all over. It's unbelievable. It kind of tugs at your heartstrings and gives you a bit of a sense of hope that we
right.
haven't had in a couple of years. It's been taken from us, right? And it's amazing to see a lot of people that I did not expect to see out there that are pretty generally quiet and reserved, and then you see these people out there standing up for something, and you're like, you know what, this is means something to a lot of people. And yeah, when there's a whole bunch of little kids getting behind, there's people spending thousands of dollars bringing supplies down to Coots, like food, blankets, clothes, fuel, you name it, firewood. Yeah, it's a tremendous amount of support. It's unbelievable.
Well, and and if it hadn't been for you, I probably wouldn't have heard about the deal at Coots at all. And it just so happens because you sent me your poems and I read them at poetry, and
Oh yeah,
like
thanks for that, brother.
hey, no, by the way, thank you, because that was one less. That was about 2.5 minutes that I didn't have to plan for, so that helps
Perfect.
a bunch. If I already know it's something good, I just got to read it. That works out. But no, and you said you were headed down to the border, and then I had to go digging for it, because basically, if you want to find anything outside of Trudeau calling you a bunch of transphobes and Islamophobes and whatever the fuck else,
Yeah,
outside of that, yeah,
yeah.
you can't find it on Google. Google is just going to show you what the CBC is telling you.
Yeah, they're trying to censor and bring in a whole new censorship bill. Like he's trying his damnedest to hide everything. He's even hiding himself
Yeah,
right
that's
now.
the craziest thing is like he refuses to talk to the
Yeah.
organizers. And unlike America, like and you know, I've never said this in my life, but like the we could all be a little bit more like Canada right now. Like I've usually just talked shit on Canada my entire life, but
Yeah.
honestly, like and like you guys have fulfilled every Canadian stereotype during this whole protest, and in the best
Pretty
way.
well.
Because
Yeah.
like Ottawa, like there's been a couple people in Ottawa like, hey, we can't fucking sleep with you guys honking your horns all night. And guess what? In pure Canadian fashion, they're like, all right, 8 o'clock
Yeah.
we shut it off, but 8 a.m. we're starting back up, and it's just been like cool. All right, and then even at the border, like, and you can speak to this a little bit more, but basically it was like, uh, you know, like we're shutting everything down. And now is it both directions you've got it shut down, or is it just one
It
going
was,
from
yeah.
okay.
It's been off and on. It was both. And then they had like one lane coming in, and then they shut that down again. And then they had one lane going through either way, and they shut that down again. Because it's just, if you just let them through the whole time, it kind of takes away from the point.
Yeah, you have no
If
leverage
you
if
just,
if
if you just
you don't
stand aside, what do you gain? Nothing. And
yeah.
so that's where it's been. Yeah. And then they actually, yesterday, I think, they've been pushing their barricades farther and farther back, and all the back roads for miles around too, trying to stop people from supporting this and to stop people from coming out. And people went right through the barricades, and tractors driving through, and people going around ditches into there through fields to just come and help support this cause. And yeah, they're trying to basically starve them out down there. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, um man, it's they're getting desperate. Like I hear like the people like I guess it's like the city council of Ottawa is like asking for military support, and the military is like those guys might be armed. We're gonna from what and I don't know like how you guys are hearing it up there, but like the all that that's probably not going to end well. So it's like let's find something another way to go about it.
Yeah, I purposely took guns out of my truck before I went down the other day, just in case, because I heard they were going through vehicles. Cops were going through vehicles, and so that probably wouldn't have looked good showing up to a peaceful
Yeah,
protest with firearms.
well, and especially being you know, for everybody down here in the U.S., like you guys don't have a Second Amendment up there, like
No, you need a license to even go buy a gun, to pretty well
mm,
buy it. You can't even buy ammo without a license too. And you need a separate license to buy pistols, anything under 18-inch barrel, like that's concealable. It's called restricted.
mm.
And then prohibited firearms or anything that's fully automatic and stuff like that. And you can't even, it's just no up here.
Well, and they can basically slap you with a gun charge at any time too. Like I mean, they like there's probably
Yeah, yes and no.
some loophole where they can at least like initially charge you. Like it might be something that gets dropped later, but like it's something that
Yeah,
you can definitely like at any point if you have a firearm on you, they can probably arrest you just because you have a firearm.
yeah, like you need a separate license to carry a firearm around with you. Like you can't carry a pistol around up here like you can in the States.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like it's a whole different ball game.
Yeah.
So I don't blame you. Um, but I don't know. It just it's funny as how everything they try to where they try to downplay it is like that's where you like the stereotypical Canadian, like polite Canadian, has come into play, where they're just like it really has been the most Canadian thing ever, but at the same time it's also like the most American display of civil disobedience, because it's on
Yeah,
such a wide scale. Like it's on a big enough scale where you'd think it was coming from America, but how
I
it's been
agree.
but how it's been handled is
Patriotic.
is just Canadian as fuck, and I love it because it's
Yeah.
just been polite and just like matter of fact, and it's just like I said when you first come on before we recorded here, it's like, anybody who toughs it out in Canada, even if they're like the most like like purple haired freak out screaming person,
Feel a
they're
muscle.
a little bit of toughness to them because they live up in Canada.
You bet.
But
Yeah.
now you got like the blue collar, just everyday Canadians standing up, and it's like the everyday Canadians that are leading the charge too. And
It
I
is.
don't
Yeah.
know, it's fucking beautiful to watch, man. It really is. I'm so fucking proud of you guys.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree with you. It's sure something that I've never seen before. Yeah.
Now, and I don't know. I just and maybe just because I've purposely made it a point. Like I got a few messages when we were headed to Elko, and then like I saw a couple headlines or something, and then like when we were headed back from Elko, like I really kind of started looking into it, and I was like, oh shit, this is a big deal. And then we were talking, and you were headed down to the border, and like how did that come out of like the main deal? Like how did that get organized? Do you know?
Um, that was more centralized towards um Alberta and its mandates in itself. But it was actually my buddy's uncle who is the head way behind it. Him and a couple of his trucker friends are the first ones down there that just parked their truck right in sideways and said, no, we're because that's one of the major border crossings and it is the number one in Alberta. And has had a big effect, negative and positive. Like there, it is blocking a lot of beef from coming across the line, grain. That's like the number one agriculture sort of crossing
Mm.
in Alberta. So there are a lot of pissed off people about it too, but it's really making our voices heard that these COVID mandates and restrictions have got to go.
Well, and it's truly amazing to see how like this should be popular as shit with the left wing people because it's the workers of the world rising up. Like this is literally like Karl Marx's dream where like just the average everyday people, like the people that make an economy run, which is the truckers. And I very rarely have good things to say about truckers because I deal with cattle truckers constantly, and they're not the smartest people on earth. Um,
But
but
they are if you ask.
yeah, exactly, and you can't convince them otherwise. Uh, but they are the people that make an economy run, and before
Yep.
trucks, it was the railroads. Before railroads, it was the Teamsters, and I mean like that's
Mhm.
how the mob got so fucking powerful because they took over the Teamsters union, and the
Yeah.
Teamsters union was, I mean, like 60 to 70% of the truck drivers in the country, and
Yeah.
like yeah, like, and even if you try to shop local, like the stuff that you buy local still has to get local.
Your
Like,
raw materials came on a truck, you know.
yeah, all that stuff comes on a truck. Whether it's you remember the crisis in the Suez Canal earlier this year. Where one
Mm-hmm.
fucking barge delayed the world shipping supply by like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, and so like, yeah, you guys, especially up there, you're gonna be feeling the after effects for quite a while, even after when everything does get resolved, because there's just gonna be a backlog of stuff going there. But all at the
Probably.
same time, like there's no way you could say it's a majority of the country that's involved in that convoy, but there's a vast majority of Canada that like their hearts with those people. And
We truly are not the fringe minority. I'll give you that much.
no,
Yeah.
no, Justin Trudeau and his kind are the fringe minority up there. I mean
Yeah.
that
Absolutely.
when you watch all the videos and shit that's coming out over this, that Rebel News, it was like
Yeah.
rebelnews.com. Those guys have been putting out some phenomenal coverage. And
They're on it. Yeah. Them and True North is another one too.
yeah, True North, and Rebel News, and I I could have never imagined like being in a better spot for my podcast of just interviewing Maxime Bernier a couple weeks ago, and now this shit
Yeah.
pops off, and you see Maxime Bernier is like just going from truck to truck to truck in Ottawa, just talking to all those guys, and like I mean it's awesome for my platform, but like also it's like I talked to that guy for a reason. I thought he's kind of the real deal. I still keep him at arm's length if I were you, just because he's a politician.
Yeah. It's
But
like Coulter's line, don't trust no politicians. Yeah.
like, but I like what he's got to say. Don't trust him, but like I like what he's got to say, and uh, I don't know, man. Like it's been really pretty cool to watch, and I don't know how many of my
Yeah, it has
listeners have
been.
been. I've been trying to put it out as much as I can, but like that, it feels from my end, it feels like it's the beginning of a like a truly like history changing moment, and it's just funny that it came from the mild mannered Canadians that are just polite as shit, and they did it in the most Canadian way possible, being polite as shit
Mhm.
about it, and
Mhm.
that's the cool thing. That's the coolest part about it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing to see the support from everyday people driving by. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I'm glad you got to be a part of it. I
Me
enjoyed
too.
watching all of that. It was cool because you were sending videos like right there where like not only were there semi trucks but just farm equipment. Just you could see somebody pulled it in with a tractor, dropped the implement, went back and got
Yeah.
another implement, and it's just that unity. We're not there's not a whole lot of it, but guess what? It takes rural economies go, and they're usually the stuff that makes it go is usually takes up a lot of space, so you can drag it and drop it and
Oh
come
yeah.
back and get it later.
Yeah. Same deal with like all the tow truck companies. The cops, they were trying to resort to calling auction yard companies, like farm auction companies, to come and like tow these vehicles, and everybody was just no.
I
Yeah,
love
because
it.
people were calling them, said they're not going to get any support if they come and help tow these vehicles away after
Hell
this.
no.
And then not
Hell
only
no.
that, if one of them guys came in to actually hook up and try to tow somebody out, what would happen? There'd be like 6 other vehicles parking right in front of you that you're not going anywhere. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and then I saw so many videos online of showing everybody how to disable their truck. Like take the
Yeah.
pins out of the air brakes, and yeah, like it's one of the most genius forms of protest that I've ever seen. Like
It's
we are
bloody organized too.
and that's the crazy thing. Like a fringe minority is not gonna organize something on that scale.
No.
That's just not gonna happen. But
No.
and I've listened to some of the organizers, and the best part of it is like there's no one guy, but there's a bunch of people, and they all know what the fuck they're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're all talking.
Yeah, that's exactly, and they're not talking to
Together.
like your legacy media either. That was the best part is they held a press conference there in Ottawa, and they had only independent media in there. They didn't even allow the CBC or whatever the fuck else. They're just like
Yeah.
no, we're talking to the people that's gonna tell the truth, and not
Yeah.
spin it into bullshit. So I don't know. It's inspiring to watch. I've been enjoying every minute of it.
Me too. Yeah. I'm looking forward to more this weekend. Yeah.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah.
Yeah,
So what are you doing nowadays? Let's get into some cowboy shit. Like you've cowboyed
sure.
quite a little bit, huh?
A little bit. I am making hats full time now, though. Along with just day working. I can't do.
Yeah.
I got a few horses of my own here yet, still, but I want to keep horses going, and I like starting horses too of my own. But I'm full time into the hats now. Actually, since October, I started
Hell yeah.
doing that full time. I spent about 5 or 6 years rebuilding them and learning how to work with felt, and
Mm.
then 2020, January 2020. I met Chaz Mitchell down in Elko and a
Oh
few
yeah.
years ago. And then I called up another guy, but he was fixing to die on us in the hospital, but he's good now. But so I couldn't go down to him. He's in Salmon, Idaho. And then I ended up just calling up Chaz, and he's like, fuck yeah, man, get down here. Let's do it. So I drove down to Utah and spent a few 3-4 weeks with him, whatever it was, and apprenticed under him to actually how to learn how to make hats. And so I took that, and it took me about a year to get my poop in a group and all my suppliers and materials and things like that lined up. And then January last year, 2021, I made my own hat with my own liner in it, my first one. So it's been going really well, really steady. I'm in
Hell
cowboy
yeah.
country here in Canada, so I'm in a good part of the country to be in for making cowboy hats.
Bird of beef, huh?
Yeah, you betcha. Yeah,
Hell yeah. Ah, fucking Canadians, you betcha.
you betcha, bud. You betcha, bud.
You guys are the easiest to make fun of and the funnest to make fun of because
Oh, I
you don't
know.
take it to heart. That's what I love
All my
about it.
American friends just poke at me, and it's great. I love it.
That's awesome. No, I fucking love and I don't know. I've always had a little bit of a soft spot for Canadians, but this past week it's even even more so. It's like you guys are fucking doing it, pal.
Yeah, you bet. We're really doing it, Harry.
Yeah, just like of all the countries in the world, I wouldn't ever that it was the Canadian. Like I would have figured the Aussies would have done something big before you guys did, just because they got bigger, well, like way bigger mandates than you do, and you guys got way bigger
Yeah.
mandates than we do down here.
Oh yeah.
But I thought the Australians would crack first, but no, it just yeah, it was a fucking trucker convoy from Canada,
Yeah.
of all things. That's funny, but I don't know. It's moving worldwide. It's wild, wild, wild.
Yeah. But
How did you
yeah,
how'd you get interested in the hats?
I started fiddling with them actually in college when I was riding
Mm.
bareback horses, and I always have kept fixing the back of my brim, and so
Yeah,
I started playing with a tea kettle in a kitchen just before rodeos or after rodeos and stuff for myself and my buddies, and then uh, I one day out of the blue just decided to try making a hat band for one or a piece of ribbon, and then another one, and then I redid a couple for another friend of mine, and then I threw it up on Facebook actually, and it was just like, this is what I did. If anybody else wants this, and it just snowballed from there.
huh?
Yeah,
Hell yeah, dude. That's awesome.
yeah,
Well, it's it's funny, like, because I still haven't, I've yet to buy a custom hat, but like there's always some, and I've never seen such an inconsistent product as felt hats, because you can buy one for $30 that if if you sneeze on it, it'll just fall out of shape.
yeah.
But also you could buy a 10x that will do the same thing. And it just, I don't know, it's
Oh,
wild how the quality varies between companies
it
and
does, and so that's literally even the X value of hats nowadays. It doesn't mean nothing anymore. It's just garbage nowadays. All it is just a marketing
mm,
plot that you see some hats coming out of Mexico that they like throw 1,000 X on their hats. Like, what does that even mean? But no,
yeah,
where that came from, where that derived from, was actually through, as far as I know and understand, was actually through grading flour, like for
Oh, okay.
baking. You had your 1X flour, that was your bottom line stuff, your 2X, which is the middle of the road, and your 3X, which was the best money could buy.
Yeah.
And then the millinery world has just adapted that into trying to, it used to be like when, maybe up until 30, 40 years ago, it used to be the percentage of beaver that was in that hat
Yeah.
compared to rabbit. But no, nowadays it's just a marketing. You can throw however many X's you want in that sweatband and it'll still be a piece of garbage. So I don't even put X's in mine. I just tell you exactly how much beaver is in there.
Yeah. There you go. I've always wondered that. And,
Yeah.
but then like when you buy two different types of hats, so like I had a 7X American, uh, and I bought it for my wedding, and then the day after my wedding, we went to Charleston, South Carolina for honeymoon, and it was in October, and we landed in Charleston, and it was 86 degrees and about 86% humidity, and that
Oh man.
it went from like kind of your classic high plains, like not a Texas taco, but pretty turned up on the ends to Buckaroo hat pretty quickly,
Yeah.
like in that humidity. And then I've
Yeah.
had some like 5X Rodeo Kings that have held up in anything, that
You
just
know what?
been.
Them Rodeo King hats are actually pretty good. They're pretty like they're cheap, they're affordable, but they're a good using hat. I don't think anything's wrong with the good old Rodeo King.
No, I think for just like a good like beat around hat, they're all right. I bought one
Yeah.
of those Amish hats for the first time this year, and it's
Oh
not
yeah.
bad. It's not bad.
They're warm, eh?
Yeah, yeah. That's one thing for sure. They are warm. They use a lot of wool to them, I think.
Yeah. They're a
But
bitch in
it
shape things.
yeah, and if they get wet, like you get rained on, you're gonna have a blue forehead for about 4
Yeah.
days.
Yeah. I hear you. Yeah, and
So
so that's why I don't even bother selling those cheap qualities. The cheap, like the lowest quality I sell is a 50% beaver.
yeah.
I just don't want to put my name on anything of lesser quality. You know what I'm saying?
No, I got you. I got you there. That's
Mhm.
well, because you can only like you know you can put lipstick on a pig, but it's still a
Yeah,
pig. Like you can
yeah,
make it, you can dress it up a little bit, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. So like if you don't have good materials, then you're not gonna make. You can make it okay product, but you'll never make a good product out of shitty materials.
absolutely. Just like saddles, boots, anything. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. It's
yeah,
funny. You can always tell like you can always dress up, especially on saddles. You can make it look real nice, but y like when you come tight on that first something big that you rope, you'll find out if it's actually made right.
we'll find out in a hurry. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. It's that's how it works. Hats are kind of the same way too. Like the first time you go to you get stepped on or whatever, you just or even go to reshape it, and if it doesn't shape like it's supposed to, you're just like yeah.
so I like to
You,
say is a good quality felt, 100% beaver felt is just like a cat. It's got 9 lives. I've rebuilt some rank hats, guys, that have holes, from grabbing onto it over 30, 40 years, like holes, like looks like a bowling ball. But you just turn the sucker around, redo it. And it's still
no
got
shit, huh?
another whole nother life. Good to go. Yeah. Yeah. There's some pretty interesting hats that I've worked on before, way older than me. It's
That's wild.
was to tell. Yeah. That's one thing I learned, like, cause I'm also a heavy duty mechanic too. I'm a heavy duty mechanic by trade, but I
Isn't that what
learned and I
everybody does in
tell people,
Alberta? Is like they're some sort of mechanic because that's where.
mechanics or oil field. Yeah. Welders,
Yeah,
lots of welders. ranchers, and that's pretty well it. And lots of
Yeah.
farmers too, and feedlot operators. Yeah, we got Feedlot Alley just to the east of us here as well. Tons of feedlots in Alberta.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, one thing I learned when I was mechanic and turning wrenches that I've never forgotten. I've told a lot of people this too. When people are kind of humming and hawing between getting the half-ass hat or the 100% beaver quality, hat, and is that a poor man can't afford cheap tools, because you buy the cheap tools that wear out and break, and you end up having to replace it. Well, in the long run, that's going to cost you more than had you just bought the good one in the first place.
Yeah, that's the thing, is you can buy that same tool about 10 times, and it'll wear out about 10 times, but like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that the good one, it's the same way with a good pair of spurs or a good bit
Yeah.
or a good saddle. It's same, or even a good horse. Like, god damn,
Yeah.
like a horse that you don't have to fight is worth so much fucking money.
Oh man, I
Like,
couldn't agree with that more. Like, the more horse you ride too, the more you just realize you don't have to ride the shit.
yeah, yeah, and then like when you get something where like when you're still feeling spry at the end of the day because like you just didn't have to fight that horse all day. It's
Yeah.
such a nice thing, and so like when next time you got to do anything like where you're like I got to get shit done, like yeah, that's the horse you go to, because
You
I'm not
bet.
gonna be I'm not just gonna be wore the fuck out at the end of the day.
Every single day. Yeah.
Yeah, and those a lot, and for me, that's a lot of those horses are some that I've started, and some just they just turn out better than others, and just it's just how it is.
That's
But
just it. It's because, like, starting a horse, you do it your way, and they learn how you
mm-hmm.
do things, what your pressure feels like, your balance point.
Yep.
They learn your methods, and then that's just it. Is you create those habits rather than try to match the habits that somebody else has taught them. I agree.
Yeah.
I'd rather start my own. Yeah.
Well, and how many horses have you seen that one guy could not get along with, like a good hand couldn't get along with, and they trade him off to somebody else, and and turn him into just a really nice horse, and it's nothing about the horse or the guy. It's just they didn't they were never gonna
You
work.
don't click. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Just like
There's
relationships with people. Yeah.
mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of people like you think like, hey, they should really get along, and then you get them in the same room, and they're like, nah, and they just like whatever, they don't do it. But
Yeah.
and there's horses too. Like I can make a decent horse even if we butt heads. Decent enough to where somebody can get along on one,
Yeah.
but there's some that just like, man, I like this horse. Just there's you always have those little favorites, but.
Absolutely. And it's just like people too, are even an employee or a significant other, it's like them that feel appreciated will always go above and beyond what's expected. And I
Oh
think
yeah.
that same goes to go with horses too. You show some horse some good love, they'll put their life in the line for you, right? And
Oh
that's
yeah.
just it too. I think it's worse probably for men, in my opinion, because men like to be the dominant alpha male. And you usually see men ripping on their horses a little bit more than some women, and trying to teach them that was bad, but you just teach them. I guess the same goes to go with raising kids too. You teach them what's good, and then that's what they'd just rather do.
Yeah, yeah, I think so too. And but also there's also that point with and in particular with horses, because they're just such a big animal. Like there's some of them where like no, they just have to know that they are not the alpha. And sometimes that just takes a
Yeah.
man, and a lot of times that takes a big man to do
I
that.
agree. Yeah. Yeah. I
or,
know what
or,
you're saying.
or yeah, and just like, but I've also seen some really really well trained horses come, like some of the best trained horses I've seen come from women, but those women sometimes also don't ride the nastiest horses either. They got their where they excel at. And I don't know. Like there's nobody that's gonna take the place of a Dan Hartman. Like if I got a nasty horse, I'm gonna call Dan Hartman because I know that sucker's gonna go right to the shoulder and then court the fuck out of him until that horse
Yeah.
decides that like maybe this ain't worth it.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah.
Speaking of courts, I just got a new court sent up from my buddy Nick Merritt, and
Oh yeah.
Dakota May did the rawhide on it. Yeah, those guys are
Hell
sure
yeah.
a couple of handy craftsmen. Yeah,
Hell yeah. Do you use a quirt much?
not a ton, but it's always good to have it. Rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
See, I kind of want one. I've never used one. Like it was never a thing where I grew up. But then I've seen some videos of it, and it looks cooler than shit. So now I kind of want one. But
Yeah, I've
I
just
also
used my
don't.
Romel before, but now I'm kind of like, well, what do you? Then I got to the point too where I'd like using Romels with, maybe a horse I probably shouldn't be using Romel reins with in the first place.
Yeah. See, I typically just ride split reins, and I've over and undered a bunch of split reins. But also,
Mhm.
I always wonder, is like, what kind of signal am I giving them? Like, I know they're feeling it because I'm
Yeah,
feeling it slap, but also they're feeling it in their mouth the entire time too,
yeah,
and so, but I love watching a guy quirt down a horse, and but I've just it wasn't a thing growing up, so we never
yeah.
had any. But now I kind of want one. Just, but also I'm 36, and I don't bounce very well when I hit the ground, so I don't know how bad I need to quirt anything down either.
Yeah, just get one of them uh, leather ones. You just keep your quirt in your bedroom.
There you go. There you go. I'll do that, and then I might just get one of those
The S
grocery
and M
store.
ones. That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I might just get like a grocery store, rocking horse, where you put the quarter in. I'll just
There
put
you
it out.
go.
I'll put it outside my house, and I'll just quirt one down every morning just because.
You fit right in with the outside circle.
Yeah, there we go.
Honorary member. Yeah.
Perfect, perfect.
What are you drinking?
Hell yeah. so So, did you grow up cowboying at all, or did you just kind of did you just
No,
fall
no,
into it
not
somehow?
really. I was around it a bit, like the feedlot. I didn't grow up on a ranch.
Mm.
We were around feedlots a bunch as kids on both sides of my family, but I know my thing growing up was snowboarding. Still is
Oh
too.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Snowboarding was my number one go-to hobby, and still one of my favorite things to do. But no, I didn't really get into horses too much till I was about 18 years old. So yeah, like I'm just about 29 now. Yeah.
Oh okay. Right on.
Yeah.
But you kind of covered a little bit of country since then. Like
Oh, I
you've
have.
been
Yeah.
around the cowboy world a little bit, huh?
Yeah, I've been fortunate to meet a lot of great people and see a lot of great, cool places and do a lot of great things. As far
Yeah.
as I'm concerned, I'm very lucky to be doing what I'm doing where I'm at and have so many really cool friends all over. It's awesome. The cowboy world's small, but it's really big at the same time. Yeah.
Right. That's the crazy thing is like somebody else say like, "Hey, do you know this guy?" And like, "Well, no, I don't." But then they're like, "Well, he is this guy, and he met him through this guy." And they're like, somewhere down the line, you're like, "Oh, I've heard of that guy." And
Yeah.
then and then
Absolutely.
there's like a whole other family tree that you go from that guy and branches out and you're like and then pretty quick you're like, "Oh, this world ain't near as big as it seems at times." Like
No. And I mean,
there
I'm half Dutch, so I'm just related to everybody anyway. So
there yeah,
yeah.
it's wild. I grew up in kind of it was kind of a strange mix between like Texas and Nebraska, kind of like it was like you were there was some guys that tied on hard, And there were a few guys that would dally on slickhorn, but it was just it was more just like that high plains area was just kind of
Mhm.
it was just like there was not a lot of finesse in the horsemanship. There was not a lot of finesse in the cattle working your cattle. It was just like we've got a short amount of time in the day and let's get shit done. You know, it just
Yeah, when it's not too hot. Yeah.
yeah, and so like but it wasn't quite as rowdy as like you get down into Texas where when you get in the brush country because we were out on the plains, so even if they ran away, you saw where they were. I mean,
Hmm.
it's not like they're not getting lost anywhere. You can see
Yeah.
that shit for a long ways. But we didn't have like the finesse that the like the Buckaroo crowd had with the long ropes or like the real fine points of horsemanship. It was I don't know, it was just a
Yeah.
different
Yeah, man.
crowd. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I like about Alberta is it's got everything. Like there's well, except yeah, there's not many guys that really tie on up here.
Mm.
Pretty much everybody does, whether you use a slick horn or rubber. A lot of people use rubber up here, but um, it's got everything. We got mountains, foothills, plains, brush country, some desert country. It's covers a lot of area. Yeah, and yeah, you get a lot of different landscapes and environments. And I think that's really cool for horses. You can get them really well rounded, you know,
Oh yeah.
within a 3 hour, 2 3 hour kind of radius from point to point.
Yeah, Alberta reminds me a lot of Colorado. Same way, like because
Oh
you
yeah,
guys are almost straight north of where we are, and it
yeah.
like the yeah the topography is pretty well the same because you
I
got the
just say it's
Canadian
really close to Wyoming. Yeah,
yeah
yeah.
yeah so you got the Canadian Rockies, you got the got the plains going out into Saskatchewan, and yeah, it's very very similar,
Yeah.
and yeah it's I don't know what's the biggest difference that you've noticed between Canada and the U.S. since in your journeys around.
Um, no guns.
Yeah.
Well, not as many guns, but um, that's a tough question. There's a lot of differences, but any specific sort of differences you're asking about?
I don't know. Like, what's we'll go like what's good about Canada versus U.S. and then we'll go one
The
good
other way around.
U.S. versus yeah
One thing I like about Canada is the people are a lot friendlier generally,
yeah
a lot more welcoming and neighborly. Um, and I find a lot of the people are a lot more aware of um, sort of what else is going on in the world or like where things are in the world.
yeah
I've met a few Americans who didn't even know where Canada was.
yeah.
And
I believe that. I believe
yeah,
that.
yeah. And then the other way around, I'd say that I do feel a lot more, actually, almost, it's weird to say, but I almost feel a lot more at home in Wyoming because I
Mm,
do feel very comfortable around guns. And up here, some people get kind of scared of them and they don't
yeah.
like them, right? And whereas in Wyoming, everybody and their freaking dog has a gun or two. And um, I like the feeling of it, and I enjoy the people down in Wyoming as well. Like I've found a lot of Wyoming people are very um, tough, and they're not to say that you guys aren't tough either, but they're just very similar. Like we were talking earlier with tough, just in regards to nature,
Yeah.
they are a lot similar to Canadians in regards to just putting up with the weather and getting shit done and not complaining and everybody just goes in and has a bush light at the end of the day too. But
Yeah.
um yeah, there's some really cool places I've been to in the States as well that I just you can't find in Canada, and
Yeah.
places that I guess meditate would be sort of a word. Not that I'm big on meditation myself. I don't know why I'm not putting it down or anything, but everybody just needs a place to go to escape and relax. And I've found, being on the road as much as I have has really helped me with that. Seeing a lot of cool places
Yeah.
and it's different country.
Speaking of that, this on Saturday when we were, I don't think I got it on video. It was after I ended the live stream when we did our
Okay.
show. But Sam McHugh and Ira were singing "This Is My Church," and it sounded fucking awesome. Like they were just jamming, and that's kind of how I feel. Like whether I'm on horseback or just going on a long trip. It's usually like when I'm by myself, just with my own thoughts. Like I'll play that song and like I know it's cheesy as hell, but I love it. And
who cares who thinks it's cheesy as hell? You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, well, like there's certain songs that just speak to you. You know, it doesn't matter if anybody else likes them. They just like I like them. And
I agree.
And but yeah, I don't know. Like I've met a lot of. I guess not a lot, but like I've met my fair share of Canadians, and I really like some of the better connections I've met with people are from Canada, and I don't know for whatever reason. So like I've always held a just a little bit of soft spot, and then you guys are very very similar to us, but at the same time like completely fucking different, and it's just wild. It's at the same time like I can relate to you so much, but at the same time, like especially during some of these lockdown deals, I was like, man, that shit would never fly here, or at least I thought. And then you see that shit creeping down here, and I'm just like, god damn it. And so like that's also why like when I see this big of a movement up in Canada, I was like, it's not just me that loves liberty, that loves freedom. It's just like when you see the entire fucking country of Canada stand up, like, all right, well, we're on to something. Like
it's like the Canadian version of like guns and eagles and flags and just
exactly.
freedom.
It's a more polite, less threatening version of of all of it. And
it's like the Canadian America,
Yeah, exactly. But honestly, and like it couldn't be any better. Like because not only is like can your typical America crowd get behind it, but like so can the rest of the world who doesn't like guns, because it just like it's still just it's polite, all of it. It's so stereotypical Canada. But at the same time, such a huge statement, and I don't know.
It is.
It's awesome.
Yeah, and even a lot of the RCMP, I do have to give them some credit to some degree, especially in Ottawa. The RCMP are right there with the truckers, sharing food and helping each other out. And like yesterday, we were protesting on the highway too, like the number, like probably the busiest highway in Alberta, other than the one that goes all the way across Canada. The two goes from Edmonton south here, but we had that block down to a slow crawl. Like we didn't actually stop it. People had to zigzag through us. We positioned our vehicles and implements and everything through there, and we're calling it a slow roll, and gaining attention through that, right, without actually getting an infraction, impeding traffic to a standstill. And there were cops that showed up, and we were parked down in the ditch. We had campfires going. It was cold, but the cops even come out. They were having coffees with us. Guys were bringing out coffee and food and donuts and supplies and helping us out. And the cops are right there BSing with us a little bit and taking these stickers that we had. And
hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, they were just the one guy actually said that he was only there and making it clear that they were there solely to diffuse any situation that might erupt from people not agreeing with us. Basically, somebody comes in hot and horny against what we're doing, trying to start a fight. The cops were there to back that guy down. They were just letting us do our thing. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. That's really awesome.
And even
Uh,
at the border the other day too, like we were walking in, we had to park in the Hudrites field, actually kitty corner to the border because they had the back roads blocked off, and then we just walked in a bit. And we walked through a whole bunch of cops that were, they seen us parking on the hill. I think they thought we were maybe getting ready to have a bit of a Mexican standoff, a shootout on the hill or something. They rolled in with all their little crossovers and Camrys and stuff. And and then we're walking through, and one guy's like, "Are you guys gonna let us through yet?" And the one cop's just like, "Man, I wish we could." Yeah, but
that's awesome.
there's
S-
yeah, I think there's
So
a whole bunch of viewpoints.
where's Corb and Coulter Wall in this? This would be a good time for them to actually put on a show. I bet they'd have a
Yeah,
good crowd.
they would. Yeah, actually, Paul Brandt, he's from Alberta here. He flew his helicopter down to bring a whole bunch of supplies down 2 days ago. Yeah,
Hell yeah, that's awesome. I don't know. It's really cool. And there for a minute they were really censoring shit on Facebook, but it kind of just got too big to shut down. And now like I one of the first videos that I posted of this thing, it was like three or 4 days ago. All of a sudden, has I'll open Instagram and I'll get like 10 different reactions just from that video that I posted 3 or 4 days ago.
yeah,
And so like they're finally just like, all right, well this thing is happening. We can't stop it. So they're
yeah.
not even trying anymore. So that's a good thing. There's been a bunch of mandates to get pulled. The one in Quebec was huge. That tax, like the
Vax tax. Yeah,
yeah, they that one fell on its face. Alberta, Saskatchewan are supposed to be lifting the. Oh, what did Brett Stanley sent me this one, and this is from Saskatchewan.
yeah.
Uh,
Scott Moe, the premier, he gave a big speech out yesterday saying that it's basically it's time. He's listening and saying the rest of the country should listen in a little bit more to their people as well.
yeah, he he sent. What did he send me? It was something with it sounded like it was making a database, and they were offering that in lieu of the mandates. So I don't know, like you gotta
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
like an ID. Yeah, and Alberta's been doing that for a while, but honestly, I never really got into it. I kind of thought that was a little fishy as well. But yeah, I'm not on board with that. I don't
Yeah,
know.
so like it's one of those things, like they'll still try to throw that shit in there. Like hey, we're backing down, but also this. And so like, and a lot of people will focus on the fact that the mandate's gone, but then ignore, or they'll just that the fact that this other little deal, which is in itself is not necessarily a mandate, but it's a database or a list that you're on,
Yeah,
and and
it's just
that gets
nuts.
like pushed by the wayside. So anyway, you still got to keep your head on a swivel because
Well, and actually, it was just released a few days ago too. Speak while we're on this subject, that pretty much if you own a smartphone in Canada over the last 2-3 years, you've been being tracked. They admitted to tracking 33 million Canadians during COVID to see where we were going, what we were doing, and how long we were staying there. And they plan to continue that for the next 4 to 5 years as well.
and there's only like 40 million Canadians, right?
I think something like that, maybe. Yeah, not quite.
Yeah, yeah. So like the vast majority of you guys have been
Yeah,
have been
yeah. It's
tracked
pretty
without
much
your
like
knowledge.
you gotta get back down to a flip phone or something.
Yeah, it was like when the Snowden shit came out in the U.S. Several years ago. That same thing. It's
Yeah,
like, oh, by the way, this whole apparatus that they said that we wouldn't spy on you with. Yeah, we've been spying on you,
yeah. That was
all of you,
lie.
all of you. Yeah, the
Yeah,
the the Maurice report determined that was a lie. That was
Yeah.
a lie. Let's you good to go for a little bit longer?
Yeah, man. I'm just hanging out.
Cool. Well, I gotta go take a leak, but we'll end this for the main show, and we'll just talk some shit for the Patreon. So,
Perfect.
Samson, where can they find your hats at?
I'm on Instagram and Facebook. I don't have an actual website of my own yet. But Samson underscore with underscore at underscore P on Instagram, and Prairie Wind Hat Works on Facebook. Yeah.
Perfect. I'll try to. I'll make sure to get you tagged and everything. But
Appreciate it.
yeah, yeah. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Everybody on Patreon will be back here in about a couple minutes or so. But everybody else, thanks for tuning in and move your ass. We're burning daylight.
Move your ass for burning day. That's right.
All right.